being here, Charles. I mean, this is just fantastic. I'm really, thank you for taking the time to do this, Charles.
Not at all.
I really appreciate it.
But thank you for the invitation.
No, because we've been talking about doing this for years now.
Of course.
It's been years. Because you've been in Japan for 7 years.
7 years. I'm about to tick over 7 years next week. So I came in the first week in January in 2015.
Now, just so the audience will know, you're the general manager of the Westin Hotel, Ebisu Garden
Yes,
Place.
yeah.
Just right in front of where I live, because I live right behind there. You've never been over to my home either.
No, I haven't.
No. And you're living in Yokohama.
I live in Yokohama.
I live in
Yokohama.
Right. Well, tell me, Charles, where were you born?
So I'm Australian.
Okay.
And I was born in the island off the bottom of Australia called Tasmania, which a lot of people may not.
You told me that.
But
yes.
some people say, huh? What is Tasmania? So I suppose in some ways it's like the Okinawa of Japan.
But that's where the cartoons had the Tasmanian devil.
Tasmanian devil.
They used to spin around.
That's it. That's the Disney cartoon.
Right.
Yeah.
The Disney one.
Very famous. Very famous.
That's right.
So I was born in Tasmania in the 70s, early 70s.
How many siblings?
I have one sister who's still there.
Older or younger?
Older.
How many years difference?
She's nearly 2 years older.
Right. 2 years
and she loves living there. She thrives there. She thrives. And she has two boys who I'll tell you about my kids later, but she has two boys who are similar age to mine.
Okay.
But she is I suppose, as worldly as she is, she loves being in the island state.
But she's never traveled. She's traveled outside.
Yeah, she's been here. She goes to mainland Australia. She travels to Europe. She's been here a few times in Japan.
But living there in Tasmania, that means she knew her husband for several years before she met him. They probably went to school together and stuff like that, right?
And the strange thing is, if I go to Tasmania now, I walk down the street, they say, Charles, I haven't seen you for a while. I'm sorry, I left 30 odd years ago. It turns into a...
How many people in the island, basically?
500,000. 500,000 and 250,000 in the capital city.
Wow.
But it's a wonderful place because produce, the food, the produce, the history, the wilderness, or maybe as we call it here, the jungle.
What would the produce be? Is it lamb?
Well, there's a lot of lamb, but there's beef grown there. There's superb cheeses that are done there. They grow truffles. They grow opium. They grow...
For medical purposes?
Yeah, medical purposes.
Okay. Because you're going to get someone in trouble.
But the sophistication, the art, I mean, it's just lovely.
So wait.
And actually, it's come ahead a long way.
All right, so when you grew up there, So when you grew up there, how long did you live there before you left?
So I lived there for 21 years.
And
so I was
never left the
there.
island?
No, I'd left. I was a small boy when I left, yeah. So we went to, Melbourne, the city of Melbourne on mainland is 1 hour flight away. So we used to go over to Melbourne to other family and we used to travel around.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was home. It was home for the first 21 years of my life.
Did you ever have desires to leave it? I mean...
You know, the interesting thing, I don't want to run away with the conversation, but I had no intention of going to hotels. No intention. So I finished school when I was 17, turning 18, and I was going to do accountancy. I was going to be an accountant.
What was your father?
My father was a chemical engineer, of all things. Yeah?
Your mother?
My mother was, originally she was in a law firm, but then she was a traditional housewife after that.
So the brainy family. So they get together. What's your sister do?
My sister's actually a commissioner, like a court commissioner. Yeah.
That's why everyone knows. That's why everyone knows you when you come into town. That's why they know your whole family. So your father was well. Your father was well.
My father was well known. My sister's husband's a doctor there, a surgeon. She's a court commissioner, so she's a commissioner of some different tribunals there. So I walk down the street, and people they don't know, obviously my family, but. Yeah, people say, "Oh, Charles, I haven't seen you for a while." I left 30 years ago, as I said. That's the amazing thing.
Do you keep up with any of your friends back there?
I have a few friends there, but a lot of people have left. All right, have moved to mainland states. Have moved overseas. There's still a Tasmanian network around of people.
What was it like going to school? Did you go to an all-boys school? Or
went to an all-boys school. I went to an all-boys private school there. About 600 or 700 people in the city. Again, the schooling education was great. I had a fantastic education. I was very, very lucky. My sister went to an all-girls school there, but there are a number of, different, all boys or co-ed school or all-girls schools. They follow international baccalaureate, the IB, like they do, for some schools here in Japan. But yeah, look, it was a great experience. But I wanted to go back to it. I wanted to do accounting.
That's what your
I
drive
wanted to.
was.
I was always going to be an accountant.
Because you were good at math in elementary school.
I suppose I could count. You know, maybe it's all I knew. Maybe, honestly, Lance, maybe it was all I knew.
What do you mean all I knew? What do you
all I knew. Something conservative. Should I be an accountant? Should I be a doctor? Should I be?
Because you're going to be one of those.
Yeah,
you're going to be
one of
something
those.
Like okay.
Yeah. And because I was very young when I left school, I was 17, just turning 18. I was still 17 when I was sitting my final year exams. I thought maybe I have a year off before I go and study. So I started to have a year off, a gap year, and I worked for one of my cousins who was running a farm, and I was doing a little bit of farming. And then I picked up a job in what was then Sheraton Hobart Hotel. And you know, if any Australians are listening to our conversation, they'll know, well, Tasmania, and they'll know Hobart. And Sheraton was one of the, not one of the first, but it was one of the first few, back then, ITT Sheraton hotels in Australia. And I started working there. I thought, I like this. So after that...
What were you doing?
Well, I started on front desk. First, my very first job was parking cars, a valet parker.
All right. And you liked that?
I enjoyed it. I loved the expensive cars.
Right, okay.
I was a valet parker, and then they said, oh, you're better than this. You can be a bellboy. And then I ended up on front desk.
Okay.
Very quickly. And then I decided I'd study. So I studied hospitality for the 3 years after that. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do finance or commerce, whatever after. And then I ended up on the wave. So I moved to another Sheraton, and maybe now, you know, obviously Westin, Sheraton, same family.
This is all in Tasmania?
No, Australia, Tasmania, to Gold Coast in Queensland, to Perth in Western Australia, Port Douglas in far north Queensland, all in Australia.
Did your father have any input, or your mother say anything about what you were deciding?
All they knew I was happy.
That's all they cared about?
That's all they cared about.
That's beautiful.
And for a boy who came from Tasmania, you know, who really, you know, didn't take the traditional, how you say, you know, employment sort of path in the late 80s, early 90s, where your parents want you to do this. All of a sudden, you know, I started landing different jobs, and I moved in the end to Fiji out of Australia with hospitality. Same company, Sheraton Western. Then Fiji, I did a small stint in Brunei, small stint in China.
And don't go too fast, because when did you get married between all that? No, I want to know. When did marriage come in? Or you're single? You're still talking while you're single?
I moved to Perth in Western Australia.
Okay.
Thanks for slowing me down.
Right, I want to say, because you could go so far and then we'd forget about the kids and everything else.
So I moved to Perth in Western Australia, and I met my wife, who's Australian.
That was your first move?
That was my third move. So originally Hobart, up to Gold Coast, which is very famous with
Australia,
Japanese.
right?
Yeah.
I wanted to see one of my sons there. I was thinking about it.
And actually it was in the early 90s where there were more Japanese tourists on the Gold Coast than Australians. Yeah.
Right.
Then from Gold Coast to Perth in Western Australia.
Right.
And I met my wife in that transition.
Okay.
Right? So she's here in Japan.
Right.
With our kids now.
Was she working there?
She was working in hotels too.
And you met her through the hotel?
Yes.
She's not still working in hotels?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But actually, it's good having a hospitality wife, because when I call to say, I'll be home at 8 o'clock, honey, and I turn up at 10 o'clock, she's like, it's okay. She knows.
She knows exactly what she's doing, right. She knows
Which is quite funny to talk about. So Perth in Western Australia, and then basically our base after that, we were married and we moved to Fiji in the South Pacific. And 5 fantastic years in Fiji.
With who? With Sheraton?
With Sheraton and Westin. It was a complex.
Right.
And we arrived in Fiji, no kids, newly married couple. And we left in 2005 with 2 kids. So, you know, you can imagine it's a newly married couple, island country, 300 and something islands in Fiji, resorts, leisure. It was beautiful. And fantastic staff, fantastic properties, really beautiful destination. And yeah, we were very fortunate to have the support there, you know, with the care with the kids when they were born.
Tell me something. All those islands around there, how did you get from island? Was it by boat, or did you have the seaplanes?
So boat. Where we were connected by a small causeway to the resort. So if anyone has ever been to Fiji, or if anyone goes, you know, Sheraton and Westin are on an island called Denarau. So it's connected by a small causeway. But to move around Fiji, it's either boat, high-speed boat, speedboat, or seaplane.
Seaplane, okay. That's what I thought. Did you do that often sometimes to go around?
Yeah, we escaped to these beautiful magical, tranquil islands.
And they're still like that.
Still stunning, stunning, stunning. And I can't wait to go back and visit. Actually, all the things I see, Fiji has really progressed as well. And it's a beautiful tourism destination. And not a plug for Fiji, but Fiji Airways is now flying direct Narita down to Nadi in Fiji. So at the moment they're flying once a week. They've just started again.
But with COVID and stuff, I don't know, how does that work?
Well, into Fiji, there's at the moment there's a 3-day self-isolation in a hotel.
Okay.
But you just need to pick the hotel with the golf course.
Right.
So you can isolate playing golf.
Right.
And on return, obviously, as we are here today, it's the 14-day at home, which is quite tough. But
it is.
Yeah, I think it'll change. Right. When it changes and the borders open up, it's great that Fiji Airways is flying direct from Japan.
So where were you before you came to Japan, and how did you get Japan?
So after Fiji, I did a small stint in Kunming in China and Brunei, but basically my home moved to Bangkok. So after Fiji in 2005, I moved to Bangkok and had 10 great years in Bangkok. So I was in 2 hotels, still with the same company. Amazing to think, huh? My whole career is basically the same company.
You're still with the same company?
Well, yeah. And then Starwood was bought by Marriott. So Sheraton was bought by Starwood. Starwood was bought by Marriott. So
Right.
10 great years in Bangkok. And I think I've told the story, but it's nice to share with everyone that we were very happy there as a family. Kids' education, great. The lifestyle was great. Very accessible to Australia. And my boss had, spoken a couple of times about moving. But obviously when Tokyo came up, it was pending Rugby World Cup, it was pending Olympics. This was in 2014.
That's right.
Are you interested? So I applied and obviously ended up here. So it...
and you applied because of that?
Yeah.
All those pending events, yes. But the rugby was fantastic, though.
Yeah, the rugby. And for the rest of the world, I know it's a little bit of pressure within the country with the Olympics. But I think as a country, we kept the Olympics so much at the forefront on the broadcast, and we entertained the world, because that was in the hardest times.
It was,
COVID.
most definitely.
The lockdowns, the isolations, people who, maybe couldn't move around, people were looking for things to do.
That's
so
right.
they had the broadcast.
They sure did.
So I think as Japan, we brought it to life.
I think so.
Yeah.
They did a marvelous job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's surprising, because no one knew how that was going to turn out.
Of course.
The first time in the history of the Olympics. My goodness.
Incredible.
So tell me, your sport you liked, did you participate in sports when you were in school?
So when I was at school, I was a rower. I was an avid rower. Yeah, on stroke side, seat 4.
Is that?
I love it because I had the size. To
You're
do
talking
it,
about college, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
college, right? But then really, I moved away from it. I moved away from it. But what I love now is golf, and I really after COVID has ramped up. We found a bit more time to play golf with some friends here, but they only invite me because I always come last. So they know, okay, Charles, please come and play golf, because we know we won't be last.
But you have the biggest handicap, right? Right? So you have the best chance of winning,
Still
right?
doesn't help.
That's good.
The only thing is I win the prizes. I win the
all the
last
prizes,
prize.
right.
The last prize. The booby prize.
So your sons are here. How's your family feeling about Japan?
Well, what I was going to also say when we moved here, from Olympic Rugby World Cup, actually at the forefront is the deep, I suppose, sophistication, the quality, everything we do here, and the structure, and really, discipline's a very strong word, but really the quality, of everything we do here in hospitality is really superb. So
compared to your other places, you mean?
Compared to really anywhere else in the world.
So when you came to Japan, was that your
knew.
biggest? You already knew it was.
I
Going to
knew,
be.
and that's what really interested me about coming here. I knew the quality of what we could do, especially in food and beverage and general hospitality, even before we sort of understand how omotenashi fits in with the international world. I knew that the quality of what we could do in hotels was right up there. So that was another motivator to come here.
I have a question, because during COVID, and I have no reason to try to sugarcoat anything I say to you. Living right behind you,
Yes.
having this hotel always open. You never closed it. You kept things going. I even saw some weddings going on. And I was wondering, how was Charles doing this when everybody else is shutting down, including, and we're
You're
private.
very kind.
The American Club is private.
Yeah.
And we shut down for almost 3 months. And I'm going, how is he doing? What regulations are you going by?
Well, we made a decision. We'd stick it out. And I remember one day in the lobby, it was probably in May 2020, I was standing in the lobby with a few of my team. We had 4 people in the restaurant, we had 10 people in the rooms.
That's right, you told me, yes.
We looked outside, it was like, no one.
Crickets, yes.
Should we stick it out or should we take a break for a couple of months? And my biggest, I suppose, motivator behind it is if one's to close, if we're to close, when do you open? When's the right time? And that was a discussion between us and our corporate office and our real estate owners. You know, if we close, when do we open? When is the right time? When there's X amount of rooms or X amount of cases? We didn't really know. So we decided as a team, with all the input, we'd stick it out. Because here in Ebisu, right next to your house,
Right.
we're sort of a community hub. You take
sure.
now, I mean, we're talking the week of Christmas, yeah? In the lobby of the hotel today, we have Santa coming in for the kids. There are hundreds of people in the lobby. On the weekends, it's almost amusing. You know, there's more push chairs, kids push chairs in the lobby than cars in the car park.
Yeah, and then you have your horse out there with
So it's all about community. Yeah. And the restaurant on the lobby and the lobby lounge, we kept social. Obviously very, very cautious and very aware of what was going on. But we wanted to keep social and we wanted to keep community. So we decided to stick it out, no matter how many sort of lights we got down to in the guest rooms. And I feel now in hindsight it was definitely the right decision.
It sure was.
To keep the connection with everyone around and give people a place to come if they want to. But yeah,
Did you have any severe cases of the COVID strain or anything?
Well, really, no. I mean, we've been
even with your staff.
Even exceptionally lucky. We had a couple of staff who tested,
Right.
tested positive. We had never had any transmission in the hotel. I think part of our discipline with masks. We have a thing in Marriott called 2020. Wash your hands 20 seconds every 20 minutes. So the whole discipline of everything we had here really kept us very, very safe.
And knowing that your team would follow it,
Yeah.
without any question. Yeah.
And we set a very open sort of dialogue with the team to say, okay, if you are feeling unwell or if a family member's unwell, please stay away. It's okay. We can pay you. You know, we can pay you. It's not about coming to work because you need the salary. You know, you can go either on vacation or government subsidy, or we can pay just to manage, I think, the safety of everyone. And we really tried to set that sort of warm, take care relationship to say, okay, be transparent. If you've got challenges, just let us know. And I think this sort of philosophy kept us safe the whole time. And yeah, I mean, we had sometimes someone would ring up and say, oh, my daughter's feeling unwell, I'm going to stay home. I mean, this is great because we all sort of protected each other, which, ultimately was a great outcome for everyone.
That's fantastic.
We're talking about kids.
Well, you want to talk about your kids? You can.
How did we get onto the kids? Did you say about the kids? No.
No, I was asking you about your kids at one time.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about your kids?
I changed the subject.
You can. No, it doesn't matter because you can talk about anything we want. This is our podcast. So your boys, how are they taking on Japan?
Your question was, how does the family feel?
Right.
All right. So my kids have had exceptional school experience here, Yokohama International School. One of the things is when we were in Bangkok, we were at a school called NIST, New International School of Thailand, which was a great education. It sort of has, not a relationship, but it's sort of a brother or sister school with Yokohama International. So the kids moved to YS. My older one graduated in 2019. He's in UK now. He's at Warwick University studying economics. Maybe a traditional curriculum.
He's going to become an accountant, right?
Traditional curriculum. He's not allowed to go into hospitality.
You told him
Rule number
don't
one,
do it.
no hospitality.
But you love it. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
It.
Love what I do what I love. But it's it's funny in a way. But it's an interesting industry. But it's given so many opportunities.
That's true.
So he's at UK at university. He's now in his third year. All right. So that's run away quickly. So he graduated from Yokohama International School 2019. And my younger one is still at Yokohama International School. He graduates next year, so he has 6 months to go, which is exciting. And he wants to go to UK as well. Okay, fine. That's no problem.
Apollo's brother.
Yeah, but not economics. He wants to do architecture. But they've had a great education here. I think fantastic sort of society to grow up in. I feel the schools here, I mean, we've been very privileged to be able to put them through that school, and very fortunate to be able to put them through. But, you know, it's really set them up for good future education, which is great. So I'm proud of them, and they've done a really good job.
Yeah. What are your plans for the future? Do you think you'll be here much longer?
Well,
look, how long is it usually? Is that up to you, or is it up to you?
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's sort of an outspoken comment I'll make. You outgrow the job, or the job outgrows you, right? And it's about opportunity as well. You know, I've been here 6-7 years now. There's always so much to do, and I think the difference is, as we sit here today, probably for all of us in society, there's a lot to rebuild, right? So, you know, I'm very, very happy here. My commitment to the team, my commitment to the community, commitment to, you know, the company in some ways, you know, to sort of rebuild and see a great, can I say, trajectory of business coming out of this, and inbound returning, and seeing how we can look after, you know, the business, society, the guests, everything. So I think in some ways, you know, a lot of us who become part of an organisation over this very tough time want to stick it out and want to show, you know, how we can rebuild. So the short answer to that is I'm sticking around. Yeah,
that's beautiful,
I'm sticking around to really build up where we should be, and really see, you know, the bright future ahead. I mean, the future's very bright.
You think so?
The future's bright for Japan, incredibly bright for Japan. I have no question as far as, you know, the interest in Japan for tourism, the quality of hospitality that we all give, not just us at Westin or Marriott, or it's all hospitality here. You know, I think the interest in Asia for Japan is really, really strong. You know, a lot of people have visited Singapore before, Thailand before, you know, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, I mean, Shanghai. I think there's a lot of interest about travel into Japan. And you know, when we look at it, I think the confidence of the concern about all different variants like Omicron's still out there, you know, but the confidence of where we're heading is in the world, you know, as long as vaccine keeps up and, you know, the mindset keeps open and travel opens up, then the future is very bright. You know, and again, where we were here, I came into Japan in 2015. Please don't check the numbers, but I think it was around 8 or 9 million visitor arrivals in 2013, 2014. You know, we got to 30 million just before Olympics. I mean, and I think government was saying 40 million. So the confidence of where inbound tourism was heading, and the way the infrastructure's changed for tourism as well was fantastic. Yeah, I think we just have to be patient and get through this challenging time.
Oh, wow. I like that. Charles, I'm not going to take a lot of your time because I know that you're a very busy man. Because the last time I saw you here, you had someone and you said hello to me, and I was surprised you said, oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Come on!
You always say hello to me. What would you like to leave your audience with? Because that was really fantastic what you just said about the confidence you have in Japan. Yes.
Well, you know, this is...
I like that.
I share a little bit with everyone about the personal side of things, but you know, I think when we talk about Japan and hospitality as a whole, I touched on it and I'll just reinforce it. You know, the quality of what we give, the pride of what everyone wants to do in hospitality and tourism here. I think the you know, the confidence of society, you know, and people coming in with inbound travel. I used the words before, the future's bright. I think, you know, the momentum will build again. You know, I feel there's so much to offer here. And I'm exceptionally proud of being able to be part of this society as well. You know, we're just a few of a handful of lucky foreigners to be able to live here and work here and work with the Japanese people. But yeah, I mean, I think as challenging as times have been, you know, there's a bright shining light, you know, ahead. We look forward to seeing a great future.
Wow. You're the reason why. Your optimism is one of the reasons why I like talking with you.
Thank you.
I love talking because of that. Charles, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank
I
you.
want to tell everyone on this podcast, A couple of things. I've been thinking about how I might want to change the podcast ending so I can get you activated to press like and to subscribe. But if you keep on seeing people like, Charles, how could you not? Never forget, it's all on loan. Continue to reach for the stars. And remember, you're too blessed to be stressed.